Video time, and this time I'm going to start with a point type first and then nap it. We're going to do a Bitterroot. I've never heard of it before, right? So I'm going to do one. Now this is from the Overstreet Guide. This is the 13th edition. Don't buy this on Amazon. Buy it from Barnes & Noble. Okay? Amazon's way overpriced. Don't get it from eBay. Get it from Barnes & Noble. All right. So the Bitterroot, I'm looking around, and I had a request to do a point made from basalt. So I went to the far west where I knew that there was going to be some basalt points, right? So these are mostly obsidian, but I'm going to try for this one here made of basalt. This one's made of basalt. But I'm going to try this design here. Okay, so I've got some basalt, but it's not from Oregon. This one, I think, is from Colorado. But it's still basalt. Yeah. It looks pretty good. I got a couple of batches, and I think it's from the same subscriber. Although the Cortex looks a little different. It's probably the same stuff. I just have two different batches for some reason, two different bins. Anyway, I got these pieces way back in 2019. So what's that, 5 years ago? July 2019. Anyway, I'm going to dump everything back into one bin. Yeah, because I need that bin for something else. I don't know why I separated them. Okay. Anyway, I got a bunch of other stuff from him back in 2019, 5 years ago. Various pieces of glass. I got to nap a bunch of stuff. He even sent me some cool stuff to make atlatls with. You know, atlatl weight type stuff. Anyway. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff like this. Luckily, I had some basalt, so let's see. I don't know if I have very many videos with this material. Okay, so without further ado, it's been a busy week for me, but not with videos. It's been a busy week doing family stuff. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if I can get into the swing of things. I haven't napped at all in, I don't know, what is it, 5 days? This is 8.5 ounce. Copper bopper. Alright, let's see. Basalt is not the easiest material to nap. Okay? But I nap it just like anything else to start with, and then I get adjusted to it. How do I nap anything else? I just start hitting on it. It feels like it needs some stout edges. Not everything needs a stout edge, but this feels like it's going to be all crushy and crunchy. So let's see how a stout, dull edge works out. Now, why don't I get some basalt from Oregon? Well, I don't have all that much stone available. I just use what I got. Okay, so if this piece turns out to be like wavy and inconsistent, I'm going to get a thinner piece. But I'm going to start with a difficult piece, chunky, with the turtleback issues and that kind of stuff. Just to see if I can do it. All right. I got request to do basalt because it is unpredictable. See how it's going to be dicey to thin it down because it is so unpredictable. Okay, I mean, it naps, but you see how it has strange characteristics, and it will break in half. It'll be snap in half-ish probably. if I get it too thin. Yeah. All right, so I managed to get most of that turtleback out with 2 good hits. Yeah, see, when you start thinning it down, those ripples and stuff, they'll mess up your day. How do they mess up your day? You know, it'll dig too far in, or I might just cut the piece in half. All right, so I've got to be a little bit careful and not too aggressive. I was aggressive here to thin this down and get rid of that turtleback, but now I've got to switch mentality. I don't have much to work with, much room here. Well, maybe I do, but it doesn't seem that way. These are actual size in the book. That's what's good about the Overstreet guide. I've got plenty of rock here, but I want to make it as large as possible. Okay. And on this channel, we're not going to make exact reproductions, you know? Because that's leaving out the aspect of the artistic. That's leaving out the artistic aspect. Yeah. We're going to be artsy and just do what we feel like doing. I feel like making a large version of that point type instead of the exact size. But it's good to know the exact size. Oh yeah. That way I can say it's larger than the usual or larger than the originals. I think it's allergy season, so I might be clearing my throat a lot here in a little while. I can already feel like I have a resistance to speaking because my throat's getting clogged up. But I like the pollen scent and the various blossom scents, I suppose. In the air, there's all kinds of different plants blooming right now. So yeah, I do like it, except for the allergies. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go strictly with copper in this video. I probably should try to do percussion, direct percussion more, a little bit more with the direct percussion, but we'll see. If this doesn't power through this stuff easily, I'll have to go back to the direct percussion and take a risk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, lots of family stuff to do. As usual, I don't get away. I can't get away. Nope. It's always some family stuff to do. Okay. Not that I want to get away. That's what I choose to do. But it gets toward the end of the week and I go, man, I need to get my act together and get back into the swing of things, so to speak. Okay. Let's switch to steel. It's eating the copper tool for lunch. Yeah, it feels a little bit more aggressive, yeah. But right here, I guess near the cortex, it's really not that easy. Or maybe the whole thing's going to be this way. I have a feeling the whole thing is going to be pretty tough. Yeah. And indirect percussion is going to cause the edge to crush a little bit. What about direct percussion? Why was it doing well? I'm not quite sure. I might have been striking on an easier to knap area, or it just doesn't like the small tooltip. You know, the Basalt might not like the small tooltip, so to speak. So yeah, I'll just get it adjusted to it as I go along. I don't have any particular strategy for Basalt. I just had to get used to it on the fly. Yeah. Just whittle it down little by little, and as I get used to it, it start becoming more bold. I got a feeling I'm going to be crushing edges, and I won't be able to get this thing all that thin. Yeah. I'll try to explain what I'm doing, as long as it doesn't distract me from thinning it down, because trying to explain things actually sometimes makes it impossible to do what I want to do. If I try to explain it while I'm trying to do it. Yeah, I'm hitting that really, really hard. It's not going. Now this is what they call a fine grain basalt. It's not the kind of basalt you use for those heated stones, like those massage therapy stones that are made of basalt. I think that's what they're made of. You know, you heat the stones up and you set them on your muscles and it calms you down or whatever. Before or after massage, I don't know how that works. It's not one of those stones. This is a finer grade or finer grain. Either way you want to say it. It's still not that easy to knap. Okay, I need to figure out how strong these edges need to be. If they're too strong, I'll end up snapping the whole thing in half. But if they're not strong enough, I'll just crush the edge. How did they do it back in the day? They just looked for the finest grained basalt they could find. That's how they did it. It wasn't anything special. Lots of practice on the material, and they kept knapping a bunch of it until they found some stuff that was more knappable than all the rest. Because most of this stuff is not really that knappable. That's how they did it. They looked for the best stuff they could find. Sometimes they traveled for many, many miles to get the best stuff they could find. That's how they did it. There's nothing special. There's no magic to it. And you have to use a lot of force. And I do think they used indirect percussion back in the day. I just don't know how. Were they using it vertically or horizontally? Or with big tools or smaller tools? Because I can use a bigger mallet and a bigger indirect percussion rod made of antler, right? Or something like that. I don't know how they used to do it, but I have a feeling they use a lot of indirect percussion because it is such a powerful technique. You can direct a lot of power in a small area, which is good for most things. I just don't know if it's that good for this stuff. Yeah, I'm taking it easy. I'm not trying to do too much with too little. doing just small flakes for now until I can get the hang of this. And then maybe I can start doing some bigger flakes with the indirect percussion. But I'm getting a lot of crushing on the edge, which is pretty typical with poor quality material. Like quartzite, same deal. Anything that's poor quality material will crush a lot because it does not want to flake, or make long flakes, I should say. Let's get that. I don't know. I don't like it. I said I was going to get that really dull, but let's see. Let's try it direct again. I'm hesitating to hit it because it will snap in half, right? All right, I got to get over the hesitation. See, my mind doesn't want to hit it, so I'm missing every time. Okay. I just got to take that risk. Okay, see, it's getting a lot smaller, so I've got to be careful. And not experiment too much. Okay. Here we go. See, I can't do that with the indirect percussion because it needed an extremely hard hit. Yeah, that was an extremely hard hit. Hard enough to snap it in half, but luckily it didn't. Yep. All right, so it's starting to look like it's going to get thinner. I'm just going to have to see. That was a pretty fat platform or striking area. See how fat that was? Now, there's no other area like that up here to take off this part, so I'm going to have to create one. And hit it like I'm going to break it again. There is basalt that's easier to knap than this. Yeah. Just so you know. This is probably the mid-grade between really bad and really good as far as basalt goes. I've napped some stuff, some basalt that is really good. It napped similar to, let's say, similar to a grainy heat treat. Yeah. That was a hard hit. These are hard hits on these turtlebacks. You've got to really lean into it and hit it hard. It doesn't look that way on video. You can't really tell, but yeah. I'm hitting really beefy striking areas with a lot of force. Yeah. And just hoping that it doesn't crush. Oh yes. I do hope that it doesn't crush. I don't know exactly what it's going to do. I'm starting to get used to it. but I still don't know exactly what it's going to do. Ouch. That actually napped easier than I thought it was going to nap, right at that one spot. Okay. Everybody knows what I'm going to try for. I'm going to try to hit that so I can get the step fracture out, but I need to thin the tip out. I need to thin the tip down first. Okay. Can you hear the volume of the hits? Maybe you can hear the volume to indicate just how hard I'm hitting this. I think the camera automatically adjusts for volume that's really high all of a sudden, and kind of dampens it down. Yeah. It's very similar to knapping quartzite, and I've got quartzite. Yeah. I found a bunch of quartzite. Where is it? That wasn't it. Come on. See? Knapping the basalt is very similar to knapping this kind of stuff, because it'll crush on the edges and you don't get long flakes and it's just nasty. All right. So. Yep. Here we go. Yeah. It didn't go all the way. Okay. Cheat. Hit the face of that step fracture. I took the glove off because I can't really get much feedback with the glove on. There it is. Yeah, with the glove off, I can get some feedback. Some good feedback, and I can feel that what the stone is doing a lot better. Even though I might really hurt my fingers with all the force I'm using. Okay. If I can get 5-to-1 or 4-to-1 width to thickness ratio on this, I'll be happy. Yeah. I can usually get 6-to-1 once I'm used to the material. But this stuff, yeah, it's just a small, relatively small piece. I don't have that much time to get used to it. Most people, they just don't hit hard enough to nap this stuff. I need to get more narrows. Yeah, the poorer quality the stone, the more narrow usually you got to go so that the flakes will travel across as you're thinning. But you can't get too narrow, because then it starts to get it starts to get away from you, and it gets way too narrow because you take way too much of the edge off with these hard hits. I gotta thin it way down, so here we go. And I might have a wonky edge, but that's okay, because just gotta make do with what you got. If I can't thin it down with a straight edge on it, I just gotta leave the edge kind of wonky. Dang it. Okay. Yeah. My fingers do not like this. Nope. They're saying, what are you doing? Knapping basalt? That's what you're doing? Yeah. You're hitting that so hard that it can break at any time? Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, I know. You gotta be a little bit of a daredevil when you're flint knapping difficult material. I gotta take my shirt off. I mean, my long sleeve. I got a shirt underneath this. Okay. It's 50. No, it's like it's 60 degrees in here, and I'm already overheating because this is dicey, but it's getting there. It's getting pretty thin, relatively speaking. Okay, where are my glasses? All right. I did have my glasses on the whole time. I just had to take them off to get my shirt off. Okay, so now I got my short sleeve. Okay. Is it working? I think it's working. Yeah. You got to be comfortable when knapping, relatively speaking, because if there's anything irritating, I recommend you fix that little irritation, because it'll mess you up. Yep, I find that's a common issue. Some of you guys that I knew one guy. I shouldn't say some. I know a few guys that their knapping improved quite a bit after they were able to either cool down or warm up their shop, or both. If you have a comfortable environment to knap, I think that's best. Yeah, I can't knap very well if I start overheating. Yeah, it can be 30 degrees out sometimes, and also in the shop, like 35 or 40, and I'm still sweating. So I got to make sure that I try to remain comfortable during these stressful times where you're trying to do almost the impossible. How close are we to the actual size? I still got plenty of room. See that? I still got plenty of room. So I'm going to start looking at the general shape. And these notches are pretty intense, so I don't know if I'll be able to get them to look that good, but we'll see. Yep, we shall see. Yeah, in springtime, my allergies actually, they feel better right now than they do in Texas. I'm up here in Vermont. In Texas, during the spring, it's really bad. Here, you know, I'm having a little bit of a struggle keeping my throat clear, but at least it's not like a painful sinus problem like I have down in Texas at this time of year. Yeah, my sinuses are very achy at this time of year down there. All right. That's another thing too. If you have allergies and you try to flint knap while you're having a problem with the allergies, probably not going to do very well. Have I talked enough about making sure your environment is conducive to napping? Yeah. When you're working difficult material, it is important to make sure your environment's good. Just want to get that clear. Okay. Ouch. Alright, I see how it's going to go. Starting to reach the limit. See, I'm already doing that. Twice. It just does not like it. It does not like being thinned. Okay. So you got to compromise with it. You got to make sure you don't get it too thin. But push the envelope. Just a little. Or sometimes you got to take a big risk. But as a beginner, if you're a beginner and you're trying to learn on this stuff, man, I don't recommend it unless you got a bunch of this. A bunch of rock and a bunch of patience. Yeah. That was lucky. And sometimes a bunch of luck. Yep. A lot of patience, lots of rock, and lots of luck in some cases. Now, as it gets thinner, it's going to get more difficult to run flakes from the edge. The thinner the edge is, the more difficult it is to run flakes. So I'm going to probably have to stop running flakes past center line here very soon, because I'm going to start getting a lot of these bites. Now, can you do it without getting those bites? Yes. But like I said, it takes lots of rock. Lots of patience. And not all of this stuff is consistent. I might be working with a particularly tough piece, and the other pieces are not this bad. I don't know. Some of these flakes are coming off much easier than others. So I have a feeling that it's kind of inconsistent. See how it's all kind of lumpy on this side, unusually lumpy, but it looks smooth on that side. So I think there's different areas, different consistencies to these different areas. All right, so what is the ratio? Let's see, that's like 40. Let's do it easy. 40 millimeter by 6 or 7? No. 7. Yeah, that's good enough. That's almost 6-to-1. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. For as far as thinness goes, I might be able to get it a little bit thinner, but yeah, I don't want to be pushing it. Some of those strikes were just lucky. Okay, so let's refine or regularize the edge a little bit, and then see where we're at. Does this nap like floor tile, you might ask? Actually, it's quite similar, yes. It is similar to floor tile. I just was thinking about that. How does it compare to floor tile? It's about the same, but it's a little bit tougher. I'd say it's a lesser quality than floor tile. If floor tile is a 5, this is a 4 in terms of quality on this particular piece. Your basalt might be better than floor tile. Okay? Get yourself some floor tile if you want to compare. This piece here is like a 4 if a floor tile is 5. For me, Yeah. And one of the reasons why it doesn't get a good grade is because it's inconsistent. I can't really depend on it to be the same every time I hit it. Sometimes a really hard strike isn't going to work. And sometimes I'll hit it relatively softly and it actually flakes better than a hard hit. Now some of you might think, well, maybe that's because slower hits work better on this. I don't know. I've never really liked slow hits on stone because you end up frustrated, or sometimes you end up being frustrated and then you're going to go to hard hits and fast hits anyway. Just get a frustration. I think it might be better to do this with slower hits, but you slow down your strikes. But I find that it's just counterintuitive. Your brain wants to increase the intensity when you start getting frustrated. If you get used to using a lot of force, then when you have the urge, or when you have the frustration building up and you want to release it, you can hit it hard and you can be rest assured that you've already got practice hitting it super hard. Instead of saying, well, I'm all frustrated and I never hit this thing hard and I'm about to hit it hard. What am I going to do? Yeah. You'll just probably go inside and get a sandwich. Come back to it in a little bit. If you got time, then yeah, it's good. But if you're like me, I really don't have time to be taking too many breaks. Okay, how is this? All right, it starts to constrict down here. So it's widest in the middle, so I need to get this part more narrow. I'm looking at the book. It's on the side over there. And I'm going to put a concavity in this base. I'm going to thin it down a little bit more before I start notching it. And I probably won't be able to do those really cool looking notches. They'll be similar, but they won't be like a narrow entry. I don't know. See, on this one, you can see the entry is a little bit more narrow than the foot. And on this one too. This one, no. This is basalt, so they probably couldn't do it. But yeah, see how it expands as it goes in. I'll try it and see what happens. Yeah, I will try it. Right now I'm looking to see what else I can do. I think, yeah, I should be able to pressure flake this and not have to worry too much about doing everything with percussion. But you never know. I might have to go back to percussion to do the fine edge work. Yeah, I'm not able to run long flakes. That's okay. Yeah, using the same amount of force that I would be using with chert, it's not producing long flakes. And I don't want to hit it any harder than I was hitting it. Okay. I do need to work on that tip a little bit. still kind of thick. Now, am I applying force this way, or is it a pressure assist? Am I pushing? I'm not pushing very much at all. I'll let you know if I start pushing against the pressure flaker. I just seat the percussion flaker. I just seat the workpiece, or I seat the tip of the flaker onto the workpiece just slightly. I don't really dig in, or I don't really push hard unless I absolutely have to. And you really don't know if you absolutely have to unless you get the feeling that you need to do it. So a lot of it's by feel. And you got to experiment too. You know, a couple times you say, what if I press harder? See if that works. And if it seems to be working well, then you stay with it. You know, you adjust your technique slightly on the fly. Sometimes it'll reveal a good technique. I don't like that lump right here, but I might have to just leave it in there because I don't have a good approach. I don't think. I'll have to take a lot of this edge off. The best approach is in through this way, as far as I can tell, because that's the most convex area. Everything else has some concavities to it or some step fracture obstacles, but this seems to be the least, or the path of least resistance. There's not too many obstacles going in through here, so if I take down this side, beef up this edge, and shoot a flake into here, it looks like I got to lose some of that anyway because of symmetry. I could try that. The only danger is, well, not the only, but the main danger is if I hit into there and create a big old step fracture that I can't get out, then it looks worse than it looks right now. It would look worse, or it will look worse, if there's step fracture in there that I'm not able to get out. I don't know. It's dicey. This whole thing is dicey. Yep. I don't know where some of these terminations are going. That might be a diving flake in there. That could mess me up if I hit this other side. You know, all these little things could mess you up. I don't know. I'm just going to go for it. That didn't go anywhere. Let's see. That was not fun. No, I think that's good enough. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna have to be lumpy right there. I'm just going to leave it. Yes. Okay. I have to end up with a sharp edge. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm looking to see if there's any spots that are going to present a problem when I go to sharpen it. You know, thick spots. If I can do everything with percussion, that'd be great. I gotta make myself a percussion notcher. You know, indirect percussion notcher. And all I gotta do is flatten out one of these rods and put like a screwdriver end on it. I just hadn't done that in years because I was wanting to practice my pressure flaking. I want to get this edge thin before I start notching. Yeah, but I don't want that to happen. I didn't want this to happen up there. I was lucky that this did not happen up there. It looks much better down here than it does up there. When you look at the artifacts, they very rarely have big old mistakes up near the tip. But they do have mistakes like this down near the base. So I'm not too upset about that. I might be able to improve it. There's 46 minutes. And this is similar to other stones like Kanawa Black. That kind of thing. So those kind of stones it's hard to get long flakes, and they have this graininess to it. Same type of graininess. Yeah, it's very similar. So yeah, it's similar to floor tile. As well. Okay. I hit that hard and took a risk. Let's see what happened. Yes. Okay. I'm not going to push my luck. That's good enough. That's good enough. I don't want to take that out. I'm not going to try to take this little divot out of there. That little step fracture there. Step fracture there. I'm just going to leave those in and I'm going to start the notching. Yeah. I got a ground edge here. Hold on. I have a dull edge here. Hold on. I don't want to be sharpening this part when I've got the notches in already. All right. Okay, let's do some pressure and start the notching. Yes, yes. Okay. That tip is too fine. It's too pointy for this stuff. Where's my dull notcher? I know I got it somewhere. This is it, yeah. Start with light pressure and then just put just barely enough to make a flake. Yeah. My strategy with pressure is start with a little bit and then build up, because I've snap so many points with pressure because I started with really heavy pressure that I don't even want to think about it. So I just go easy with the pressure at first. It's very crunchy. Yep. Which is to be expected. Well, that wasn't too bad. Yeah. That was actually good. I didn't think that flake would be that pretty. Okay. I can already hear the crunches on this side. That point in the book has the size of the stem area, or they contract a lot down here. So I need to fix that. I don't want to be doing this later when the notches are in. It's too delicate once it's got the notches to be messing with the stem area. Gonna have to grind it to get some pretty flakes. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, these barbs are on the ears. They're not that sharp, but they are kind of pointy in the photo. Okay, let's see. I need to get my notcher out. All right. I think though this one I was making small points with. I can't use that one. Dang it. All right, we'll just try it with this one. Yeah, it blows out the sides of the notch if I apply a lot of pressure. Which is pretty typical of hard, you know, pretty typical of grainy, tough stone. It's hard to do a narrow entry because you need a lot of pressure to get those flakes to travel And they don't want to go inward. They want to stay short, so they're going to expand out toward the sides. Yep. They're going to want to go like that. See how it did that? They don't want to go inward. They want to go to the outside. So I lost quite a bit off the edge there. Okay. I can trim this back to make it look like I didn't make a mistake. Yeah. I'm going to have to file this down. Unfortunately, because of that small notcher, it's not going to go deep enough. And the reason why I didn't want to file this down is because it took me forever to make it narrow enough to notch those small arrowheads. Yeah. So now I've got to make it narrow again later. Yeah, I just don't like tool maintenance. Did it do it again? I think it did it again. It took even more off of that. Okay. So I cannot put a lot of pressure into the notching. I can't use a lot of pressure for the notching. Okay. So what do I do? It's got to be thinner. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to be able to go thinner, so what I need to do is just be very careful about how I notch this. You'll see. Yeah, I'm going to cheat and use the file. Because I got to be very careful about the foot of that notch. It's got to be just right. I can't compensate for a bad edge with more pressure. I've got to make the edge just right. So I don't have to put as much pressure on it to get that flake to go. And I had to take back this edge, this whole edge, because I blew out so much of that notch. But it worked out okay, luckily. Luckily I didn't get a major step fracture. This one doesn't look all that great, but it's all right. Let's see if that works. Probably not. But oops. I crushed the edge a little bit. Just that little bit can make a big difference. Okay. I am putting a lot of pressure on it still. Yeah, it's not a good thing. It needs to be a lot thinner, but I'm afraid to thin it more because it will snap. Oh yes. So the solution is to do what they did in the past, just make the notch bigger. Yeah. Okay. See, it's doing it again. It's expanding out toward the sides again because I'm applying a lot of pressure. So what to do? I just got to keep making the notch bigger and bigger, or wider and wider. Yeah, until I can get to that compromise where it's wide but not exceedingly wide. It's really crunchy right there too for some reason. This is harder to notch than floor tile. Okay. At least it is with this particular piece. If I go deeper than that, it seems to not want to cooperate. Yeah. I'm going to try it anyway. Okay, I think I got lucky with that one. I almost blew out this barb right there again. Let's see. Okay, that can't be. I can't be doing that every time. Dang it. Luckily, it didn't break. It dropped on that abrader. Okay. Okay, so if I try any harder, I'm going to stall it really bad. So I'll stop right there. Yeah. And I've also got to worry about being able to match it on the other side. But the other side's thinner, so it should be all right. I always, well, when I can remember, I try to knap the hardest, the most difficult side first, which is usually the thicker side. That way, the second side is more easily accomplished. You don't want to knap the easiest side first, the thinnest side first, because it's easier. You're not going to be able to match it with the difficult side. Yeah, see, I took off that whole bottom part. Dang it. Okay. So yeah, I can't put too much pressure on the notching, because the flakes don't want to travel inward. They want to travel to the sides. It's going to screw up the whole symmetry. And that's pretty typical with all these materials that are tough. They don't want to flake inward. You will get a flake, but it wants to expand out toward the sides. Okay. I think I've said that enough. So it's not necessarily you that's making mistakes. The stone is not going to cooperate. If you're wondering why you're blowing away the sides of the notch or blowing away the barb or ear, a lot of times it's not you, it's just the way the stone likes to flake. And when I do put a lot of pressure on it, I make sure that I'm going up this way, not down that way or too much up this way. Just slightly slanted up that way. Seems to be a safe bet. I can go straight in, but I was going straight in when I blew that off, I think. think I'm starting to get a rounded off tip. It's eating the tool for lunch, for sure. If the flaker gets too dull, it just rubs up against the edge. It doesn't peel off a flake. Okay, so now I've got to do the symmetry. I'm not going to go further with the notches because it's just a losing proposition. Yeah. I've just got to work on the symmetry and then be done. Symmetry is one of those things where you gotta go kind of slow or you'll mess it up for sure. Yeah. Especially on a point that you haven't done before. I gotta go slow here. I'm having a hard time seeing the edge. Okay, it's time to do the finishing touches. I'm just going to do the simple pick at it with a spatula tool type sharpening. A lot of times I do this with Obsidian. On any difficult material, it's easiest just to use a spatula tool and hit in the, not hit, but press downward. It removes short flakes without crushing, in most cases. Let's see, I might not be able to do it on this. It looks like it's very crushy. Yeah, I might not be able to do it. Okay. Gotta do the old grind and pressure flake. I was hoping I didn't have to grind too much. Why? It just takes more time. It's already an hour and 17 minutes. Okay. Ouch. Ouch, because of the step fracture, not because of hurting my finger. I didn't hurt my finger. It was just ouch because of the step fracture. I don't like them near the tip. One good thing I noticed about that picture is the edge is all kind of jagged, which is easier to do than a perfectly smooth edge. Especially on this stuff. Okay. No, that's not going to work. It's too crushy for that. Sometimes I can just brush it back and then push off a flake, but not on this stuff. There it goes. Yeah, it wants to do its own thing. On those delicate areas, like near the tip or a barb or ear, it doesn't like it when you mess with those delicate areas. What I did was I blew too much off of one side of the point. Am I in... Is this in focus? Yeah, if I don't do a video in a while, I don't even stay in frame. That almost didn't end well on that one. If it crunches too much like that, you heard a bunch of crunching, a lot of times it ends up being very dull in that spot. But luckily they didn't do anything. Didn't do anything bad. So now it's just a matter of getting rid of all the dull spots. I can see where I ground it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I want to get this base correct. It's kind of distinctive on this particular style. Well, I guess just on that one point. All right. See, it has these little protrusions down below. Down below the line of the base. It protrudes below that. Okay, so here we go. I think I'm done. This is a larger version of that, but this one doesn't have notches that go in nearly as far, or they're not expanding like this either. But the edge is wonky, kind of jagged, which is okay. I think the width to thickness ratio is not bad for this particular type of material. Yeah. Yeah, it's haftable. That's important. I'm thinking I should probably try to deepen the notch on this side, but I don't know. Some of these don't have deep notches. It's okay. And that's Obsidian too. It's easy peasy. And they didn't do the deep notches on all these. So yeah, I don't feel too bad now. Okay, do I have something that I can show you what it looks like hafted? Not that box. Okay. I brought like most of my boxes in from the shop, from the storage shed. Is that gonna work? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, there we go. I think this is more like it. Well, it needs a bigger notch because of that lump right there. So this would work. Yeah. See, it's straight. The notch is not perfectly centered. So if it's like that, it goes in better one way than the other, right? If it's off center, it'll handle these wonky points. Yeah. There it is. No, I'm not going to wrap it. You already know what it looks like wrapped, okay? Yeah. Use your imagination. Yeah, that's how I would haft it. Yep, a little dart point. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get going making other points tonight. Well, maybe one or two more. I always think I'm going to do a whole bunch and I never get around to it. Okay, I say, yeah, I can do 2 or 3, and then I break the first one. I go, no, I can't. I got to quit for the night. I broke it. Sometimes it'll start a losing streak once I break the first one that I attempt. All right, so I need to get a good thumbnail. that shows the notching and all that. Let's see. That might work. It is bigger than all the ones in the book. All right, yeah. Well, not all. This one down here is longer. But I'm very wide. Okay. Anyway. There you go. That's it.